You know, it's a pleasure being here again this year, as we did last year. And for those who may not know, who are checking in Facebook, this is the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League Rehabilitating Committee 2020, which is very, very focused on pulling us together in the legacy of our ancestors, not only Marcus Garvey, but all of our race first ancestors that went before us, and it's many. So without any further ado, I want to apologize. Mama Tendai's file died on us. And because she's dealing with some serious issues around with her daughter, we were unable to get with her to get that file sent back to us. So y'all got me doing libation today. So without any further ado, we're gonna get into that. And then I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the evening and how things are gonna go. And we're gonna get right rolling, but we wanna say a baragani to all of you out there. Be very aware, we gotta do better in 2022, brothers and sisters, because 2021 is a very powerful year, but 2022 has to be more powerful, and it's gotta be more focused on us consolidating our resources. So without any further ado, of course, we always like to call on the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey to come have his drink. We wanna call on both Amy Jocks Garvey to have her drink. And then we want to call on Amy Ashwood to have her drink. And we want to call on all of those ancestors that are in the whirlwind with the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And for the occasion, we want to call the motherland, the cradle of civilization, those that went before us that are there and in Africa as well as around the world, to have their drink. This is a libation statement dedicated to Kwanzaa, by the way. So I just want y'all to be clear. It's not something I wrote, but it's something that's very powerful in relationship to the day. So for the ancestors and their indomitable spirit, we call on all of them to have their drink. For the elders from whom we can learn much, we want them to have their drink. For our youth, who represent the promise for tomorrow, we want them to have their drink. And of course, we want to call all those young brothers and sisters and those elders who've gone before us. We want to, please mute yourself, please, everybody. For our people, the original people, African people, that go millions of years back. Our good brother Tony Browder is there getting ready to bring in the winter solstice in ancient Kemet now. So we want all of those to have their drinks. Tahuti, Garakamoon, all of those ancestors that go way back. We want them to have their drink and come bless us, give us their strength for our struggle and in remembrance of those who have struggled on our behalf. And it's a whole lot of them. Brother Ranoko Rashidi, Tony Martin, Honorable Redmond Battle, Brother Farouk Muhammad, Sister Mae Ferguson, Sister Jean Slappy, Sister Alma Golden. And it's just so many, Tony Martin, Honorable Charles L. James, Thomas W. Harvey. Have your drink, please, and continue to give us energy so that we can emulate your works, words, and deeds in this day and time. For Umoja, which is unity, the principle of unity, which should guide us in all that we do. We want everyone who understands that has gone before us working for unity to have their drink. For the Creator, the Most High, who is responsible for all of us, all of our ancestors, all of our parents, all of our colleagues, all of our comrades, to have her drink. For the Creator who provides all things, great and small. So without any further ado, I say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-o.
Ayo.
Hey, Bo. Now we in the UNIA, particularly RC2020 Rehabilitating Committee, under the leadership of our brother, Honorable Akili, Malik, and Krumah, we make it clear we always like to have our queens do libation. But we did it a little different today, only because we didn't have that cued in. So when my good brother Harold, Haru, another Haru, has his preparation for the next thing, just go ahead into it, Harold. I'm gonna start talking a little bit, but just go ahead into it and I'll back up and come. But for those who are here with us, let's be very clear. Umoja means unity. to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Kuju Chakalia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves instead of being defined, named, and created for and spoken for by others. 3, Ujamaa, collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems and to solve them together. 4, Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Do we need that? Oh my goodness. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together. 5, NIA. And guess what? You are the purpose, UNIA. We got our sister Nia, Nia, who is hopefully, she's our counsel general, and she may be with us. If she's not with us here, she's surely on Facebook. But I like to say Nia is the purpose and you are the purpose, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to explain that later on, but right now, Nia purpose, to make our collective vocation, the building and developing our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Kuumba, creativity, to do all ways, as much as we can, in the way we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. Are you ready, Brother Heru? 7, Imani, faith, to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness of the victory of our struggle. And you can begin, Brother Heru. You had her up. Brother Heru?
The digital was fluttering back and forth. So let me try again.
Okay, well, anyway, brothers and sisters, we working. We're trying to work this technology. You know, I'm about Blacktricity. Electricity always fails us. I don't care whether it's technology or light bulbs go out. Blacktricity don't never go out. And so that's what we're gonna be giving you now. So until our brother, our tech, gets that electrical, technical issue resolved, you will hear from my tender love, Kathy English Hope, who's gonna share a Kwanzaa poem with us, and it's not that long. You're gonna hear from me a lot tonight. I know people say I talk a lot, but this is my shine for the UNIA and for the PG. I want him to know, as everybody else should know, you're gonna hear a lot about Baba Singh tonight, because I'm gonna be introducing everybody. But you're gonna also hear the real UNIA RC2020 message from our President General.
Black power.
At the end. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Black power.
That's right. And with Blacktricity behind it. That's right. So brother Heru, are you okay over on that end? Brother Heru.
There's a blinking sign going on. I'm trying to resolve it.
Okay. All right. Well, so at this point, then we may have to come back to that. But for right now, I really want everybody to understand what tonight is all about. Of course, Kwanzaa was established in 1966. Of course, Dr. Maulana Karenga was not the only person, but he's the central person that people feel helped create Kwanzaa. But let's be very clear. When we talk about this, what is that? Who is that? Who is that playing music? Please don't. Please don't play no music, because that caused problems for us. Please don't do that. Whoever did it, please leave that alone, because they will flag us, and we don't need that flag. We don't need to get bounced off of YouTube. But at any rate, the bottom line is the UNIA-ACL, which was established in 1914, certainly dealt with all of those principles in not only the Constitution, but in their practice of helping uplift African people. But I want to take us all the way back to the pyramids or the technutes. Those principles were still in place then and are very, very important. Yeah, we got away from them, and we went through this whole transatlantic slave trade period where Urugu took advantage of us sleeping at the wheel of following the principles of the universe. When we say we're universal Pan-African nationalists, we're not talking about just earthly energy, we're talking universal energy. And so consequently, when you look at those principles, anything living and anything that you can think of that wants to move forward has to deal with those principles. So we give honor to the founders of Kwanzaa, and we give honor to everybody who's practiced it since 1966. But we're clear in the UNIA that we've been involved with these principles way before we got caught up by Urugu and the transatlantic slave trade, et cetera, neo-colonialism and colonialism. So we are coming back to our Blacktricity, back to our original stance in the world. And Kwanzaa certainly is an opportunity for us to use these principles to wake up brothers and sisters who have fallen asleep. Brother Heru, have you gotten that thing straight yet back on that back end? Brother Heru? Sound.
Greetings, it's Mama Kathy, here to share a Kwanzaa poem, 7 Principle, 7 Harvests, by ancestors through Usiku. Basic concepts for living are sensible, embodied in Kwanzaa's 7 principles, to remind us to practice the fundamentals. Purely plain, purely simple. The Nguzo Saba helps us become invincible. Umoja is oneness. Within self is the focus. Unify 4 inseparables for wholeness. Kujichagulia is self-determination based on the destiny of all creation. Gain understanding, maintain translation. Ujima is the communal family collectively working, sharing responsibility to become the best ancestors, descendants we can be. Ujama is expressing fully we understand our destinies, requires using resources cooperatively. Nia is knowing we are multi-purposed, to thrive from within, to bring life to the surface, provide understandings to the creator who births us. Kuumba is the creative process, who causes all things to exist, nutrition ourselves to get fundamental access. Imani is faith, who helps motion vibrate, persistence, then patience interrelates. The Nguzo Saba, or Saba Nguzo, must be planted in the African Utamawoza, the basic context for being optimal. Ashe, Heka, Yao, Watoto. So harvests match our genetic potential. Blessed Kwanzaa. Be well.
Ashe.
And Happy New Year.
Ashe.
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 Yeah, I thought that was fitting. Mama Kathy is doing grandmama work with our grandson, our youngest grandson that's in DC. So she's out and about, but she definitely wanted to say to everybody that not only is it Kwanzaa time, the winter solstice is upon us, and it's very, very important for us to reflect upon improving upon ourselves. So when we talk about unity, we can't just look outside of ourselves. We have to look at our identity, our inside, because for real, particularly now, without good health and wellness, we can't do the kind of work that we need to do. Without vision, we can't do the kind of work we need to do. Without consciousness, and that comes from every individual. But it ain't about an individuality. It is about collectivity, because no individual came in this world on its own. Every individual came in the world through 2 beautiful people who, whether they chose or whether the parents chose or whether the child chose to come through 2, but those 2 came through 4 and those 4 came through 8, etc. So we're better off with collective energy than we are individuality. And we've been played on by Urugu, the powers that be, because we have fallen away from our cultural identity. So it is extremely important. So while I'm running my mouth, Brother Heru, please get that YouTube ready. And I know you shouldn't have that kind of issue this time with that one. Just go ahead and put it on and I'll stop. But I'm going to keep rolling so everybody that's listening know that this is a celebration. It's a commemoration. And we're going to show you the 6th Region Diaspora Caucus and the great work that is absolutely related to the principles of Kwanzaa. The 6th Region Diaspora Caucus is not only a group that the UNIA RC2020 is married to, yes, and joined as one, there's many others. But because the 6th Region Diaspora Caucus has the vision to overstand under the leadership of our international organizer, Professor David Horn, who I'm hoping might come with us later on, not only him, but the 6th Region Diaspora Caucus has the vision to overstand, we got to educate and uplift our own people. We need libraries. And we're not just talking about libraries with books. We're talking about libraries with information, because some people don't read books. They got to listen to, they got to look at a video or listen to something. So this library is going to be a Pan-African library. And guess where it's going to be? In Liberia. Yes. And so, Brother Heru, as I'm talking about that, you can go ahead and pull the file up because it speaks for itself. So while I'm talking, don't worry, just go ahead. I'll stop once you pull it up. But it's very important for us to recognize the work that's going on the continent is work going on here too. And there's a lot of other things we're going to deal with tonight too that relate to practicing the Nguzo Saba every day, 24 hours, not just on weekends, not just during Kwanzaa, but all the time. Because the UNIA is over 100 and some odd years of age. And Marcus Garvey is in the whirlwind and told us to count on him to be the real Marcus Garvey in death, where there is power in the ancestral tradition. So check this out, listen carefully.
The land is good, the land is fine.
We are in the city of Monrovia. Monrovia is the capital city of Liberia, and we are also in a historical building called the Centennial Pavilion. As you can see the ground, you see the red, blue, and white color, and red carpet on this ground. It means that we are very important. The importance of our occasion here today, it is the Liberian first Pan-African library to be built in this country.
Africa. The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood.
It's very pleasing and very satisfactory to me and all those associated with the Diaspora Engagement Program in Liberia, because the intent of the program from the get-go was for something like this to be happening here in Liberia, because we realized the great contributions of Liberians in the diaspora to Liberia's upkeep, even during the years of our civil strife. And so when we get to this point, it tells me that the works we've been doing over the years are coming to fruition now.
SRDC is very important because it is the organization that assists to mobilize and organize the diaspora in all the regions of the 6th region.
And the education that I've received today has been very enlightening. I would welcome anyone who needs to be able to go back to what I call the roots, to come over to Liberia and really understand the richness, the culture, what's going on, educate yourself, learn as much as possible in terms of what's going on in terms of the library and the diaspora period. I've learned so much since I've been here thus far.
I think that the diaspora program is something that is needed. I know that in Ghana, West Africa, they have a policy called Return Home Policy, where many of the African Americans who I'm aware of have moved and made the country their home. In fact, there are more than 4,000, I'm told, African Americans who are there.
I feel very, very good being here in Liberia, being home. Africa is home. This is the only place where I really feel like I'm at home. I feel free.
What I want to say, but I want you to understand that I'm almost beyond words because it's so deeply entrenched in my thoughts and my feelings for Liberia, my brothers and my sisters. When I stepped off of the airplane, I felt as though I was home.
Well, as soon as I hit ground, I felt like I was at home. You know, it made me, it was real heartfelt, you know. It felt like everyone was family. You know, it felt like I connected with my ancestors here. You know, everything is just different.
Well, I was just in a conversation a moment ago where I was noticing that I hadn't really thought about Liberia. I've thought about so many African countries and I've visited so many African countries. This is my first time visiting Liberia, and just getting to meet the people, to talk to the people here, and to start to connect to the history of Liberia, I feel like it's my own story as an African American, as an African who lives in a diaspora now. But this place has a real connection to me. So I'm very excited to be here. I love it. And it's wonderful to get to meet these people. They're brilliant, they're dedicated, they're committed, and the library is going to be amazing. I can't wait to contribute to see this library arise.
The land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah. Mama Africa.
Some kind of way you figure out how to get another tire or how to get that one fixed to keep going down the road.
The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah.
Similarly, we have listened to our brothers and sisters from the diaspora who have engaged various talk shows explaining the importance of war solution.
The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah. Mama Africa, we cry for peace. Africa. The land is
I was on the beach of Monrovia, going from one beach to another to sell Liberian beauty and the culture outside of Liberia.
Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah. Mama Africa, we cry for peace. Africa. The land is good.
And members of the whole council, I sign this afternoon. We are pleased to say that the project that is the resources of the National Library of the Republic of Liberia and the State of Liberia.
We're basically going to call for the resources. We're going to fundraise. We're going to gain the amount of money and capital that it's going to take to build the library. We are doing this not as a governmental project. We are a non-governmental organization. We have contacts with other non-governmental organizations. We are going to raise the funding to build the project. We are going to show that the diaspora has not forgotten Liberia. We have not forgotten our heritage. We are going to make sure this project is completed and it works.
The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah. Mama Africa, we cry for peace. Africa. The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa.
All right, brothers and sisters, I want to apologize to you all. We some kind of a way we lost the Facebook stream early, so Haru is going to be trying to get that back. And if he can get it back, we're going to run that because we have some UNIA parent body meeting members that are monitoring that. And I just checked it out. It just dropped out after the first 4 or 5 minutes of opening up the program. So actually, we only got about 3 minutes on Facebook. So while our tech is trying to find out why it's not streaming, I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Both Haru and our major speaker is coming up shortly, and so is Brother James Wilson. And when James Wilson gets here, we'll go to him. But once we get this resolved, we're going to try to play some of that video again if we can get it resolved, because a lot of our Facebook people didn't see any of it. Beg your pardon, Haru?
Facebook now. Let me redo the video again.
Okay, it had the first part that was on there was just me talking. It was only about 3 minutes.
Okay.
So anyway, go ahead. I mean, I already apologized to everybody on Facebook, and we go ahead and do that. And then we're going to go, and once we got that stream back, we're going to go back to that video, a little bit of it, not necessarily the whole thing, but we may show the whole thing depending on the time factor, because we okay. Go ahead. Let me know when the Facebook is up. Is it up? Very, very focused on pulling us together in the legacy of our ancestors, not only Marcus Garvey, but all of our race-person ancestors that went before us, and it's many. So without any further ado, I want to apologize. Mama Tendai's file died on us, and because she's Brother Hebrew.
The land is good, the land is fine.
We are in the city of Monrovia. Monrovia is the capital city of Liberia. And we are also in a historical building called the Centennial Pavilion. As you can see the ground, you see the red, blue, and white color and red carpet on this ground. It means that we are very important. The importance of our occasion here today, it is the Liberian first Pan-African library to be built in this country.
Africa. The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood.
It's very pleasing and very satisfactory to me and all those associated with the Diaspora Engagement Program in Liberia, because the intent of the program from the get-go was for something like this to be happening here in Liberia, because we realized the great contributions of Liberians in the diaspora to Liberia's upkeep, even during the years of our civil strife. And so when we get to this point, it tells me that the works we've been doing over the years are coming to fruition now.
So, SRDC is very important because it is the organization that assists to mobilize and organize the diaspora in all the regions of the 6th region.
And the education that I've received today has been very enlightening. I would welcome anyone who needs to be able to go back to what I call the roots, to come over to Liberia and really understand the richness, the culture, what's going on, educate yourself, learn as much as possible in terms of what's going on in terms of the library and the diaspora period. I've learned so much since I've been here thus far.
I think that the diaspora program is something that is needed. I know that in Ghana, West Africa, they have a policy called Return Home Policy, where many of the African Americans who I am aware of have moved and made the country their home. In fact, there are more than 4,000, I'm told, African Americans who are there.
I feel very, very good being here in Liberia, being home. Africa is home. This is the only place where I really feel like I'm at home. I feel free.
What I want to say, but I want you to understand that I'm almost beyond words because it's so deeply entrenched in my thoughts and my feelings for Liberia, my brothers and my sisters. When I stepped off of the airplane, I felt as though I was home.
Well, as soon as I hit ground, I felt like I was at home. You know, it made me, it was real heartfelt, you know. It felt like everyone was family. You know, it felt like I connected with my ancestors here. You know, everything is just different.
Well, I was just in a conversation a moment ago where I was noticing that I hadn't really thought about Liberia. I've thought about so many African countries and I've visited so many African countries. This is my first time visiting Liberia, and just getting to meet the people, to talk to the people here, and to start to connect to the history of Liberia, I feel like it's my own story as an African American, as an African who lives in a diaspora now. But this place has a real connection to me. So I'm very excited to be here. I love it. And it's wonderful to get to meet these people. They're brilliant, they're dedicated, they're committed, and the library is going to be amazing. I can't wait to contribute to see this library arise.
The land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah. Mama Africa.
Some kind of way you figure out how to get another tire or how to get that one fixed to keep going down the road.
The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah.
Similarly, we have listened to our brothers and sisters from the diaspora who have engaged various talk shows explaining the importance.
Okay, Brother Heru.
The land is
Yeah, greetings, brothers and sisters. Some kind of a way we had a big serious problem. We lost the stream completely on Facebook. So what we're going to do is move on with the program and later on post it on Facebook. We don't know what happened. Nia said it dropped out and it looked like only 3 minutes of me talking was there. How you doing, brother James? So what we get ready to do, Brother James, just position yourself. I'm gonna talk a little bit and then we're gonna get right to you. So go ahead and get yourself situated because we're gonna talk to you before we get to the keynote speaker. And brothers and sisters that's in the Zoom and brothers and sisters on Facebook, we extremely apologize, but something happened, I believe, with Facebook. I don't know whether it's because we were playing. In fact, it couldn't have been anything other than something technically happened because it only dealt with about 3 minutes and then it shut, that was it. It's like play it again. So, and UNIA informed us. But anyway, as I said earlier to you all, electricity, it always fails us one way or another. Light bulbs go out, but blacktricity don't never go out, and we're gonna go forward. So what's happening now is we're gonna do a quick little interview with my good brother, James Wilson Jr., who's been so kind to join us. And we're gonna keep it in the mode of the Nguzo, Saba and the 7 principles of blackness. And that video that we were showing of the 6 region diaspora caucus is very important because we're building a library in Liberia. And as y'all saw here on Zoom, unfortunately, the people that's joining us on Facebook has not seen that yet. And I'm just updating so my brother James Wilson can kind of understand what's been going on. The 6 region diaspora caucus is gotten land granted to them in Liberia to build a library. And that kind of fits with what we get ready to deal with now, because not only do we need to educate our little children correctly, all Africans need to be educated from an African-centered perspective. And certainly everybody needs to know about Garvey and the red, black, and the green. So what I'm getting ready to do is to ask my brother James to share some reflections on what motivated him to write this book, Teach Me About Garvey, because it's powerful. And my grandchildren and my older children are very aware, but my grandchildren are going to love this work. And certainly in October, when we did Geechee Gumbe, I read from some of the book. And we also were honored to be able to bless the brothers and sisters who presented remnants of living or ancestral Africans that came before them with gifts of one of these books. So the first one is Teach Me About Garvey by James Wilson Jr. and illustrated by Cameron Wilson. And you're gonna hear from the author because he's right here with us. And the second one, which I was already blown away because I love hardcover books that are teaching tools other than that Sally and James thing. So James, if you can open up your camera again and your mic, the book, The Red, Black, and Green, Tell Me What It Means, is his second book. So without any further ado, Brother James, just in your words, tell us what motivated you to do this work, and then talk to us a little bit about how well it's going in terms of distribution and sales, and then also, tell us how everybody that's watching this or that views this at any time can purchase it. So, like I said, welcome into the UNIA RC2020 Liberation Zone. Even though we are on Zoom, we still liberated minds. So, welcome, Brother James.
I appreciate y'all. 1 second, let me open my door real quick. I didn't expect this, brother. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet. All right, sorry about that, but yes. So what motivated me to write Teach Me About Garvey, this was my first one. First and foremost, brother, thank you for extending me the invite to be on your platform with you good Africans this evening. It's a pleasure for me. I'm certainly delighted. So at the first, thank you for allowing me to be on. What inspired me to write Teach Me About Garvey was, brother, if we're being honest, I didn't learn about Marcus Garvey till I was probably in my mid-20s, somewhere around 25, 26. And when I learned about Marcus Garvey, I was the things that I learned about him was so phenomenal, I didn't think it was true. Because I'm thinking, surely a man that powerful and a movement, not just a man, but a movement that powerful, and the uniting of multiple millions of Africans taking place in that manner in which it did in that time setting, this can't be true. They wouldn't keep this from us. You know, my grandmother didn't tell me about him. My mother didn't tell me about him. So I thought it was a lie at first. Then when I started researching and digging, I realized, especially with the climate of America, I realized this is a man that they have purposely made obsolete for Black people, especially Black children. You know, in kindergarten, I'll be 35 next month, but I can remember back 30 years ago when I was in kindergarten. And you know, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, on up, they feed you, they force feed you Martin Luther King, they'll force feed you Rosa Parks. They give you these figures that they have whitewashed, and figures that, and not to diminish the contributions of people like Dr. Martin Luther King, but they give you a version that makes you more docile, that makes sure that softens your approach to your enemy. So when I learned about Marcus Garvey in my mid-20s, I realized this is a man, and not just him, brother. It doesn't stop with Mr. Garvey, but this is a man that every Black person must know, especially our children. You know, our children today, and we can go back, the aspirations of our children, brother, are not that of a people who love themselves. Our children's aspirations today are that of becoming YouTubers and bloggers and athletes and entertainers and all these different things. But we don't hear our children imagine a world in which they're in control. You understand? The Chinese child is growing up right now looking to take over. The European child is growing up right now being educated and socialized to take over. But the African child, whether they're in Nigeria, Ghana, Atlanta, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee, Los Angeles, Brazil, Bahia in Brazil, wherever, they're being educated and socialized to entertain. And so I knew then it was my duty, and I looked at it as an imperative duty to make sure that our children had a piece of content that introduced them not just to Marcus Garvey because his name was Marcus Garvey, but to introduce them to a figure in our history that dared to reimagine the world as a place where African people were at the helm. So I know I was a little long-winded on that first answer, brother, but that's what motivated me to write this book.
Brother James?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so tell people how they can get your book and your books. And the reason we're doing this, y'all, is very important to reflect upon how we are practicing every day the Nguzo Saba. And brother James was motivated, as he just told you, about what he read and learned about Garvey, which was not taught to him in schools. And we know there's a whole lot of our brothers and sisters. And I just want to testify, when I found out about the UNIA, I didn't know that the UNIA-ACL was still alive either. And that was in 1979, when I heard the Honorable Charles L. James on the radio. And I found out the UNIA was alive, and the little reading I had done, I thought it had gone away. But we've been functioning since then, and it never really stopped. And I learned a lot in the UNIA from people who work with Garvey. So, but at any rate, James, tell people how they can get your books.
My books are available on my website, mrbookshelf.com. That's M like mama, R like Ruby, bookshelf.com. They're also available on WeBuyBlack.com, WEBUYBLACK.com. I would encourage you to utilize one of those two sites first, as those sites are Black owned and the money is circulating our Black dollar. But if you are an Amazon purchaser, if you frequent Amazon, you can purchase the book on Amazon as well. All you have to do is go to Amazon and you'll search for Teach Me About God. And what I'll do, brother, I'll be sure to put the links in the chat. But I ask that all of my parents and grandparents, and if there are any great-grandparents there, please make sure that that the Black children in your lives, that they have a growing library, and make sure that they have content that reflects the necessary approach that we must have to solving our problem. So again, you can get my books from mrbookshelf.com, M like Mama, R like Ruby, bookshelf.com, WeBuyBlack.com, and Amazon. You can get them from there. And then I also have them in select Black bookstores. And if you have a Black bookstore in your city, I would suggest you check there. And if they don't have it, please request both books. Teach Me About Garvey. Then we have Red, Black, and Green. Tell Me What It Means. And then also, brother, I have them translated. So for our brothers and sisters that are in the Spanish-speaking parts of the world, we have Enseña de Garvey and Ensiname de Garvey. And then for our brothers and sisters that speak Portuguese in Brazil and Mozambique, we have Ensina Me Sobre Garvey. So we're definitely trying to make sure that the African world has the necessary tools and resources with the children so that we can begin to unleash future generations upon this world that will deliver us to our promised land.
So, Brother James, I thank you for that, brother. That was breaking news, man. I'm just so glad to hear that. It's so important because we're going to let our High Commissioner General know. We're going to let our High Commissioner General know, Dr. Chinzara, because she's in touch with a lot of brothers and sisters in South America, as well as in Central America and at home, I mean in the East, and we want to make sure we help distribute it to those sources too. So without any further ado though, I'm excited because we're trying to get the Facebook thing resolved, and I think we have. But I have my brother, I like to tell people this is my spiritual son, but that's only because I've learned so much from him. And I carry the name Haru, just like our technical director carries the name Haru. But Brother Haru Forai Atta is a very, very serious, hard-working brother that does not play around when it comes to taking care of business. And so basically, we're gonna leave a lot of the intro to his presentation, and we're gonna do some reasoning after him. So Brother Haru Forai Atta, if you would pull up your camera and just come on to us. But Brother Haru tonight is going to be talking about a serious topic that relates to our Nguzo Saba, and not from talking about it, but practical application. Brother Haru is also the owner of Herbal Results, which we'll talk a little bit about later on. But tonight we're going to be dealing with something very critical that all Africans can get involved with, and that's the 25th Dynasty Project. So without any further ado, Haru is no stranger to those of us in the parent body of the UNIA. To those of you out there who have not heard him before, he speaks truth to power without apology. He is also a seasoned Jolly Kunda poet and has done a lot of work in other areas. He is born in Ghana, grew up here in Chicago, Illinois, and has traveled around the world, but he's all about business. And I say it's not about me, he or she, it's about we collectivity, but the work Haru is doing is related to Africa getting back to its traditional greatness. So without any further ado, Brother Haru Forai Atta, welcome again, bro.
Yes, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just a little housekeeping things. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna share screen so you all can look at the website. The website 25thdynastygroup.com is what we're going to be talking about. A lot of times we talk about Africa, and as Pan-Africanists, we know that Africa is the center of our world, and that the development of Africa is necessary for the development of our people worldwide, and most of our problems that we're dealing with are simply side effects of not having a strong continent. And as we know, as we're Garveyites, I don't have to talk about what that means, but what one of the things that we have not tried, we've done the marching, we've done the not-for-profits, we've done political campaigns, running for for office, for elective office. We've done sit-ins, stand-ins, we've done all of those things. But one of the things that I don't think that we've done en masse is industrialization as a group, particularly those of us who have Africa in our heart. And so what I focus on right now is business development and infrastructural development and also financial development for Africa, because whatever we do, we're going to need to be able to harness the resources of Africa and have these resources spread out throughout the world, which means that we're going to need a strong economic background, strong financial background, group and individually, and also a strong development background. So that would be the development of technology, manufacturing, and what have you. And so 25th Dynasty Group is an effort to share with others what I have been individually doing, what I've been doing as an individual, and also have made available to the group in terms of collective economics and how we can solve some really interesting problems that exist in Africa, and they can be solved relatively easily. And so I'll show you what I've been able to do individually, and then imagine what we could do as a group if 1,000 of us were involved, or 10,000, or even a couple hundred of us were involved. I think that we could actually make a major paradigm shift for our people. So this all started, so right now about me, as Senghor said, I was born in Ghana and raised in Chicago and have lived a good part of my adult life in the Caribbean, whether it be Jamaica, the Virgin Islands, have spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. as well. And presently I live between Florida, Rwanda, and Ghana. And I'm involved in businesses in all three places. So that gives me a lot of on-the-ground experience as to what's happening in real time in Africa. And those of you who know about the 25th Dynasty was the resurgence of African power in Kemet, where we took it over from the Syrians and the Assyrians, and also the children of the Hyksos. So what we're doing is we're dealing with the redevelopment of our people so that we can be at the pinnacle of the world and to be the most competitive people possible, outside of rhetoric, but in terms of real production. So my focus right now is on building factories in Africa. I have some factories that I'm working on and building factories in Rwanda and Ghana of my own products from herbal results. But 25th Dynasty is something completely different. 25th Dynasty has 3 prongs. With 25th Dynasty, we finance, we invest, and we are involved in development in 3 major areas that I have noticed in Africa, in just about every country that I've been in Africa. And so the first level, let's just go to the website, and anyone can go to the website. Can everyone see the 25th Dynasty Group? Baba
Yes,
Senghor,
yes,
okay.
yes,
All right.
we can.
So I'll just show you quickly how to navigate the site, and then we'll go into the details, and then questions can be asked. I think we can do it very expeditiously that way. So this is the home page. It just tells you about what the 25th Dynasty Group is. We create, build, finance, and invest in sustainable businesses. And we're starting with Africa, and Africa until we master what's happening on the continent, we can spread this worldwide. So there are 3 prongs of work that we are engaged in, tangible work that we're engaged in Africa. That is sustainable property development. What does that mean? It means that we purchase land and we build residential homes on these lands, and these residential homes have an energy solution, a sustainable energy solution, and a sustainable water solution. Those of you who have lived in Africa or spent time in Africa understand that the electricity grid through the governmental agencies is not reliable, is not as widespread as it needs to be, and it can be expensive. And one thing we have in Africa is abundance of sun. So myself, I am certified in solar installation from the US Solar Institute, where I learned how to design and install solar on homes. And I did this specifically for applications in Africa and the Caribbean. And this was over a decade ago, and it's culminated into being a property developer where we are buying land and then building homes and installing solar with batteries so you can be completely off grid. And one thing we have in Africa is that we have sunshine. The sun serves as a major power source and a satellite. So I'll just take you all back to the 1980s, 1990s when I was in Chicago as a kid. We used to call my grandmother, who was in Ghana. And when you called back home in those days, you had to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, because they would have one telephone in the block. And so one house would have the telephone, and you'd have to have children from that house go run and get people in the neighborhood whenever someone was calling from overseas and come and talk to you. And a lot of times you had to wait longer than the conversation itself. And that was because the telephone system, the landline telephone system was done through the poles that, you'll see the telephone poles. And so because of colonialism, Africa wasn't developed as well as it should have been. And so there was limited amount of phones for people until you hit around 2000, and the year 2000, everyone has cell phones. 2020, 2005, 2010, you go anywhere in Africa and everyone has cell phones. Even someone who's begging you money on the street would have a cell phone. And that was because they started using the tower system, where the tower system or the radio signals serve as the output of the signals of the communication signal, where you don't need these phone lines anymore. And it's a satellite, and then the phone would be the receiver. And the sun can do the same things in terms of electricity if you have a receiver, and the receiver would be solar panels, like what you're seeing here, these solar panels here. So it's the same kind of concept, and you can run your house on that and have batteries, lithium-ion batteries, and the prices have gone down precipitously, where you would be able to run a home and it would be competitive 10, 20 years. It would be cheaper in terms of the bill that you'd be paying for electricity from the grid in Africa, where it's very unreliable, where you can be out of electricity for an hour, you can be out of electricity for a day, you can be out of electricity for a week. The same thing applies to water. So we also have a water solution. And this water solution, none of this is stuff that I invented or came up with on my own through any types of epiphanies, but just traveling the world, you see what other people are doing in the Caribbean. In particular, let me just click this, sustainable property development. In the Caribbean, particularly in the Virgin Islands, all the homes are run off of cisterns in terms of water, because most of the homes are in the mountains and it's very expensive to pipe the municipal water to mountainous areas, and they didn't have the tax base to be able to do it. So it'd be a huge capital expenditure. So every house in the Virgin Islands was required to have a cistern. What is a cistern? Cistern is a rainwater catchment system, where the cistern is a concrete tank under the house, and the rainfall goes from the gutter to the tank, filter out the water and pump it into your house, and you have water. And the thing is that this is done in the Virgin Islands, and I lived in a house like that for over a decade in the Virgin Islands, and I always wondered why this system was not used in Africa. And so instead of complaining about it, we went ahead and we did our first project, which we finished in March of 2020. And this is the project that we did in Ghana. As you can see, this was actually done on my aunt's house in Labadi in Ghana. And Labadi is a section of Ghana, and the Che Ado section. And you start with setting up the roof properly for rainwater catchment with a gutter system. As you see here, this is us digging the cistern. Usually it is done under the house, but the house was already built. This is this type of procedure you'd have to use because most of the houses are already built without any water catchment. And usually what they have is they'll have these black poly tanks, and I'll show you a picture like this one here. This isn't a full picture of it, but you'll be able to see it. So what happens is that this water would be your backup water, which ends up being your main water when the whole water system is out. The municipal water system is out, and this happens very frequently. So then you have to live off of your reserves. And when this runs out, you're completely out of water until a water tank comes to put water here. But when it rains, there's no catchment system where this black tank could actually store water. So it's actually a waste, and it's not a good use of the human mind to have this type of a system. The system that works, because in West Africa, we get very good rain. So the system that works is to have an underground tank system. You'll be able to see what the model looks like. So you'd have a system like this. This is what the picture would look like. So the rain would fall, and you have the pipes going down, and this is the concrete tank that would be under the house. And so the water is held there. Then you have a filtration system here, and it pumps into the house. And you're able to have endless amount of water because you will be able to store this water for over a year in terms of the usage. So if it doesn't rain for a year, you'll be able to have water. This is what they do in the Virgin Islands. They do this in the Bahamas. They do this in Bermuda. They do this in Barbados. They do this in Jamaica and many places. But in the Virgin Islands, by law, every new house that's built must have that. So my thinking is, okay, so there's no point in building a home in Ghana or anywhere in Africa that does not have sustainable energy with solar and does not have a cistern. None of these homes are being built, so this initiative would be very unique, where we build a home from top to bottom with a complete solution that has a water solution. So you'd be looking at a house like this. It could be a 3-bedroom house. You have your solar, and then under there you have your rainwater catchment system, and you are completely off the grid, and you can rely on that water in perpetuity as long as it rains. We don't have rainfall issues in most of Africa. So this is something that I believe every African person should be involved in. And by the way, people who don't want to work with 25th Dynasty, that's fine. You should feel free to start your own project. Copy my idea and get the work done. It's just important that the work gets done. It doesn't matter who does it. I've just set up and I've already done it. So, it's easy for me to speak about it from a non-theoretical point of view. So this, as you'll see, how big and wide is this is when we were pouring the cement. You can see the cement truck. And one of the good things is we had very great workers. Africa has no shortage of great people who want to work, who are not lazy. And because we did this project, our work team, which was mainly 4 young men, we were able to pay the school fees. They were able to earn enough money to be able to supply the school fees for their siblings, their younger siblings. And that felt great to be able to hire people, employ people, and do something that is sustainable. Now they have also a lifetime skill that will never go away. They worked on their first cistern project. And I brought 2 brothers from the Virgin Islands. You'll see them here. This is Ross of all trades, that's what he's called. And this is brother Ross Zinga. And between these 2, Zinga is from Antigua, and Ross is from Ross of all trades. We just call him Ross of all trades as a nickname because he knows how to do everything from plumbing to electrical work to building homes from scratch. And between them 2, they have about 70 years of construction experience. So I brought them with me to Ghana as experts from the Caribbean who love Africa. We're going to do an African project. And what was really great about this is true Pan-Africanism in work. You have brothers from the Caribbean and brothers from Ghana working together to solve a problem. So it was done, and it was beautiful. This is the Pan-Africanism that I like to see, where we're working together on projects where everybody is getting financial compensation and the customer is getting a lifetime of value from these types of projects. And I think that as Pan-Africanists, we can elevate our conversations and our activities to practical Pan-Africanism, as Baba Senghor talks about. And this is one of the most practical examples of Pan-Africanism that you can actually see. And here I am, a brother born in Africa, live in the Caribbean, raised in the United States, and I was able to bring all of these aspects of Pan-Africanist peoples together to do this project in Africa. We'll be doing more projects if things slow down because of the pandemic situation, where traveling was hard to do, and a lot of commercial activities have been shut down. And so we're getting right back. We're gearing up to doing more projects, and we've been invited to do cisterns and rainwater catchment systems for hospitals and schools in Ghana. And there's an interest in hospitals in Rwanda as well, who would like us to have this type of a system. So I'm just showing you what this looks like. So those are the pipes, the in and out pipes for the cistern. These are the rainwater roofing piping system. So when the rain gets into the gutter, it goes down into the cistern. And the size of the cistern, this is the pump. This is the pump piping outlay. So you have the pressurized pump that brings pressure into the house, and you have a double filtration system out from the outside. So everything that comes in from the tank, from the cistern tank, gets filtered, and the water is drinkable water. It's very pure water because we have a double filtration system from the outside, and on the inside under the kitchen sink, where people can drink the water, we have another double filtration system. So it's a quadruple carbon filtration system that we have, and it supplies endless water to the point where they no longer use municipal water at my aunt's house. And so let's look at the size of the cistern. This cistern that we built holds over 45,000 gallons of water. So that means that if you're using 100 gallons a day, you're able to get 450 days of water without any more rainfall. And what is also important to know is that the cistern, the way it rains in Ghana, the cistern can be filled from empty to full. It can go from empty to full in just one day of good rain. That's how much rain you get. And when you collect it off of your roof, it goes straight into here. In one good day of rain, the whole tank can be full. And so 45,000 gallons using 100 gallons a day, that's 450 days. That is over a year and 3 months of water with no more rainfall. But it never goes a year and 3 months without rainfall, particularly in West Africa and East Africa, and even Southern Africa. So this is a complete solution. It's tried, it's true. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to do what you call a proof of concept, to show people that this can actually work, and to also be incredulous as to why all of the construction companies in Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Congo, Rwanda, Tanzania, all the countries, why when they build a house, they just don't build cisterns. I mean, you have all these houses, basically like a basement. It's like a basement, a concrete basement, and you're just storing water. So the irony is you'll see very beautiful houses with swimming pools, and then the house doesn't have any water. It makes no sense. If you can build a swimming pool, you can build a cistern. So instead of complaining about it, we just went ahead and did it. So that is the example of the sustainable development that we are engaged in. And so the way the 25th Dynasty Group works is that we secure the land, and we build the houses, and we market it, and we sell the homes. And when you buy the house, with the purchase price of the house includes the cistern, includes the solar, and it includes the batteries with the purchase price of the house. So these houses will be the most competitive houses in Africa, because when you buy the home and you get the keys to the house, you have no more electricity issues or water issues, which makes the house 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5 times more valuable than a house that does not have this. So who wouldn't want to buy a house like this? And based on my preliminary estimations, we can build a home 3-bedroom house, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house, definitely a 2-bedroom house with a 20,000 gallon cistern, which will give you, if you're using 100 gallons a day, will give you 200 days of water without any rainfall. So that is over 6 months of water without any rainfall, which is really great. And you don't go 6 months in West Africa without rainfall. So we can build these homes for, with everything included, for less than $70,000. And so our markup could be double that. So we could sell a home like that for $140,000, a 3-bedroom house for $140,000 with an energy solution and a water solution, which is cheaper than a house you'd get in America. You'd get it in Africa, and the problems are solved that way. And the group that provides the capital, the 25th Dynasty Group, we would be able to invest and make a return on our investment, which would be close to or even over 100% on our investment on these types of projects. And so we're going to start our first project in 2022. It will either be in Ghana or Rwanda or both. And I already have land that we have secured that we're going to be doing these types of projects. We're going to build our first home, and I'm going to build the first home with my own funds, my own money. I'm not taking anyone's money because what I want to do is I believe in doing proof of concept so that people can actually walk in the house and see what we're talking about. It's not an idea stage, it's not theory. People will be able to walk in the home, touch it, feel it, and say, I want one just like this, or I want a 4-bedroom version, or I want a 2-bedroom version. And the house is there, and then we go ahead, secure the land, and build for you. And that would be forward progress. The second aspect of the 25th Dynasty Group is providing mortgages. And why do we want to provide mortgages? The reason why we want to provide mortgages, and we want to provide mortgages for only sustainable homes, because sustainable homes have a competitive advantage. This is a very important point. But first, what you need to know is that the mortgage rate, so for instance, I own a house in Florida and my mortgage rate is around 3%. And in Africa, the mortgage rate for most countries that I've visited are over 20%. That is the interest rate, the yearly annualized interest rate, if you want to get a mortgage on a house, which is loan shark numbers. In the United States, anything over 18% is considered loan shark numbers. In Africa, banks, the traditional institutional banks, are free to run wild and charge people 20 to 25% interest rate yearly, which is perilous. And it makes it such that people won't be able to own homes. And what's happening, as you see in Africa, most people will build their homes slowly over time, even over 20 years, with their own money, block by block. As they get the money, they build the houses. But what that does is it takes the property values down, because you see many incomplete homes that aren't painted and partially built. And it's almost a blight when you're driving by and seeing so many incomplete homes. And that's because people don't have access to reasonable mortgages. 25th Dynasty Group would be able to fill that gap and solve that problem. And our first iteration is to have private mortgage loans. So if you have people put together, let's say, to start with $1 million fund, where with the $1 million fund, you could actually do mortgages for, let's say, for 10 homes, just to start off with as a proof of concept, $100,000 each mortgage for a home that is let's say $20,000 in terms of the sale price, or $140,000. So someone puts 40% down or 20% down or what have you, and we cover the loan. And we, instead of charging 22% or 20%, we charge more than even half. We charge half of that. So we would charge a 10% interest. And the thing that's interesting about that is that if you have a mutual fund and you get 8% return on that, you're supposed to be celebrating. So we have a way now for Africans who are interested in investing in Africa to actually put out of business the traditional bankers who've been loan sharking, and us to provide private money, because us coming from America, capital is cheap in America. So we could actually take capital that we get from in America for cheap in the form of a loan, and actually even do loan arbitrage. You can get a loan for 5%, and then you can refarm out that loan and then have it at 10%. Or you can have people put together money in a fund, like I'm proposing with the 25th Dynasty Group, and that fund would supply the money, and the members of the fund who've all not donated, but invested. I want us to move away from donation into investing, because investing is what builds societies and builds cities and builds factories. It's done through investment money and not donation money. So if we're going to start playing like the big boys play, the people who have real power, we have to be able to compete. We have to be able to compete with the banks. We have to be able to compete with other financial industry especially. We need to be able to be at the top of construction, learning new construction techniques, the science and technology of all of those things. And I mean, this is a cursory glance, but there's exciting things in terms of construction techniques that I've been reviewing to be able to build homes. You know, it might take a month, 2-3 months to build a house. And I'm looking at new technology where we can build a home in a week or two. So this is all real exciting that we as Africans have to be on top of, because Pan-Africanists have to be the vanguard of action. So we're the vanguard of philosophy. We have to be the vanguard of action, and the vanguard of technology, and the vanguard of manufacturing techniques, and the vanguard of business, because we are the ones who need to take over and control Africa. Most of the people controlling Africa are dinosaurs in the sense of their philosophical approach to the world and their scientific approach to the world. They are basically waiting to see whatever Europeans do to copy it. That's what they're doing in most of the leadership circles of Africa. They wait for a European country to do something, usually their former colonial master, and then they'll just copy it from there. So most of these African leaders are what you would call, they are the student that never did their homework on their own, and when it's time to do the exam, they're copying the answers from the student who's really smart. They're copying and pasting. They're not coming up with their own original thoughts. And the reason why you know this is because you're not seeing these people have African solutions to African problems. They're only trained because they're trained in usually European universities where they get their degrees from, those who are upwardly mobile in African societies. They're only trained to solve European problems. Europeans don't tend to have a problem with their water systems, so they don't usually have cisterns. So that's why most African construction people are not doing cisterns, because they've learned to be able to solve European problems and not African problems. And so we're bringing African solutions to Africa. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with mortgages. And people don't have to be, well, you know, what I find is that a lot of our people, even our bravest political Pan-Africanists, quietly are intimidated by people like bankers, financial people, even the medical industry, and what have you. Your doctor tells you this, you don't even check it. You just go ahead and just follow whatever they're doing, they're saying. And most of us are intimidated to read scientific studies on our own. Most of us are intimidated to invest our money in financial instruments that we've researched on our own. And so I'm trying to help bridge that gap so that we can demystify this thing, because I've, you know, been very fortunate in my life that I've met people from all walks of life. And I'll tell you that I've had lunch with millionaires and billionaires, and I've had lunch with broke people. And the millionaires and billionaires are no more intelligent than people I know who are broke. And in fact, people who are broke a lot of times have more what I call native intelligence. These millionaires and billionaires is they haven't been given the opportunity or the exposure to be able to become very wealthy. And when I'm talking about wealth, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about like anachronistic capitalism where you're using people and you're abusing people. I'm talking about getting a return on your investment, which you should get. If you're working a job, you are giving up your time in exchange for money. And so what I'm saying is that none of us are as scared or anti-money as some of us pretend to be. Because if you have a job or you're receiving a pension or you're living off of someone, you don't mind money. So what I'm saying is that for us to be on top of the money aspect and to understand money as a science and to understand that we can actually step in where the banks are weak in their offerings to customers, we can actually undercut the banks and become a Pan-African lending institution that actually solves problems for our people in a very fair way where everyone benefits. The people who get the mortgages, they benefit, and the people who have invested in the mortgage fund, they benefit. So it becomes a reciprocal type of relationship. And trust me, anybody who's giving a mortgage for 10%, people are going to run to you in Africa. They're going to come to you for business in Africa because the banks are doing 20 to 25%. You're going to have a better product. And Pan-Africanists are going to have more say in African affairs when we start solving real life problems for our people. So this is, and this can easily be done. It can be a private fund. I said we could start with, 1,000 people putting in $1,000, and that's $1 million. And I'm doing this myself. So those who want to join me, just let me know. Just go to 25th Dynasty Group, email me. We're going to be starting in 2022 with some very serious initiatives. And this is what I'm going to be doing irrespective of whether a group joins me or not, because I've learned that you don't wait on others to do what you know needs to be done. So, and that is actually the probably unifying thread of all of those who've been great that we study, is that they didn't wait for a group. They put things together and then the group was formed. So this is what we're doing, irrespective of how many people join and don't join, or who wants to criticize or doesn't want to criticize, or who wants to praise or clap about it. This is what we're doing, and it's easy for anyone to get involved. I made it very easy for anyone to get involved, and there'll be full transparency where everyone can be able to log into a board and see, the money that was invested and the returns and all of that. It'll be completely open source where anyone can go and check, and completely transparent. So we go to, that's the mortgages. The other side about the mortgages that's very interesting is that imagine if someone defaults, and this is why we go back to sustainable homes. So if somebody defaults on a house, in other words, they don't make their mortgage payments for a house that has free electricity in the payments. I mean, like in the purchase price, you get electricity, you get water, it's reliable, it's renewable, and it's not expensive. You don't have these water bills anymore, and you don't have lack of water, lack of electricity, and you default on the payments. Well, then the group now, the 25th Dynasty Group, now owns that house. Now, how do you think, how difficult would it be to resell that house for a profit? Because a house that has, and I've done these, calculations, a house that has sustainable water solution and, an electricity solution standing next to another house that does not, if that house is, selling for 100,000, you could sell the same house that has the energy solution and the water solution for over 200,000. So it has double the value and even triple the value. And it's going to sell very quickly because you're solving a problem. And so, in terms of what could go wrong, there's not much that could go wrong, even if people default, because that's going to be the hottest house in the market. Now, the third aspect of the 25th Dynasty and what we offer is also business loans and investment for entrepreneurs. So this is very important. Me being an entrepreneur and setting up businesses in Ghana and Rwanda and being in the culture of entrepreneurs, I talk to a lot of business owners in Africa with great businesses, great services, great products and all that. And many of them, they need sometimes as little as $100 loan just to expand their business, because the US dollar stretches a lot farther than a local currency. So what I did was I took it upon myself to start my own personal loan program that people can join. And so here it is. Here's the problem. The loans in Africa from banking institutions have prohibitive annual interest rates upwards of 20% per year, just like these mortgages. And the high cost of capital is not conducive to economic growth as small businesses are left undercapitalized. And these small businesses are the lifeblood of any economic system, right? And so we have 3 stages of funding. Stage 1, up to $1,000 USD at 10% interest. So there, the banks are doing around 22%, and we're doing 10% interest loan. And it's over the course of 13 months. The borrower has a 2-month grace period. So if they borrow the money, let's just say in January, they don't have to start payments until March, right? They have a 2-month grace period. And so the first stage, because we want to make sure that people are paying back the loan, we start with $1,000. So we don't expose ourselves tremendously. We start with $1,000 loan up to $1,000 at 10% interest. So someone borrows $1,000, which for a lot of people, a serious business person who's young or has a business that's growing, $1,000 is almost like loaning someone in the US $30,000. And they're able to build that business and pay back every month. So what they pay us back for the $1,000 loan is $1,100, right? And that is basically $100 a month for 11 months. It's very fair. I actually have a backlog of people requesting these loans. We personally were able to, and like I said, I do this with my own money right now, able to do 3 loans so far. But let me go through what the structure is. So $1,000 is stage 1, 10% interest. And it's a 13-month program with a 2-month grace period. So you can get your thing together, you can get your business going, and you don't have to worry about payment of $100 right away. You can deploy it and invest it. And then the stage 2 funding is up to $5,000. And stage 2 is if you've graduated from stage 1. And we'll do up to $5,000 at 10% interest. So what is paid back in the course of a year is $5,500. And then stage 3 is equity funding, where you pass stage 1 and you pass stage 2, you paid back all the money plus the 10% interest. Now you can receive funding greater than $5,000. And now this funding is actually not even a loan. It can be an investment where the 25th Dynasty Group partners with this company now, or this business, to become part owners in the business. So now we're equity owners in the business, where we own a percentage of the business. And what this does for the business owner is it opens them up to having all of the business contacts that I have around the world. So let's just say this is a farmer who's gone through this program and they grow avocados. Well, then they would be able to get my business links in America or in the Caribbean of maybe grocery store owners who want to buy avocados so they can start exporting from the African countries to different places in the world. So now they have access to the Rolodex because the members of the 25th Dynasty Group are now part owners of this business. And so it is in our mutual interest that this business grows as fast as possible and thrives as much as possible, because it's a win-win situation, because we are now in partnership together. And equity funding is basically a graduation. It's the final graduation for a business that has proven itself to pay back $1,000 and then go to stage 2, pay back the $5,000. Now we're ready to be business partners if we so choose. And we grow together and we are tied to each other. And there's nothing like going to Africa and being an investor in a business, and that person's success is your success. Going to dinner at that person's house is completely different. You are really part of the family, because the family is eating because of your program and because of your efforts. And it's a whole different type of love. The type of love I get in Africa is just completely different, because we've been able to impact people's lives in a very serious way. And I'll show you some of the people. So here's the criteria for the funding of the businesses. Number 1, the business must be operating in Africa. So I've had brothers and sisters from America say, oh, you're discriminating against brothers in America, brothers and sisters out in America. Why aren't you funding in America? I said, no, I'm not discriminating against our people in any way. I'm only discriminating based on location. So therefore, if a brother and a sister from, New York or Chicago and Los Angeles wants to start a business in Africa, they could qualify for this. It just has to be based in Africa, and that's for strategic, philosophical reasons and strategic economic reasons. You want to do businesses in Africa because of supply chain. Most of the raw minerals and materials come from Africa, so you'd want to source the raw minerals as close to your business as possible. That's why China's doing what they're doing in Africa, because of supply chain. If you'll notice, China will give African countries money for two things: port development and highway development. And the highway development is usually from the dense forest where the raw materials are, so they can take the dense forest materials, whether it be bauxite for aluminum or whatever it is, so that they can actually take it to the ports of these African countries and ship them to China. That's why the Chinese government is helping to build roads in Africa, particularly in very rural places. And those of us who've gone to Jamaica, you'll see that there's a brand new highway that was built just a few years ago that goes, beautiful highway, it's a toll highway that goes from Kingston all the way down to Ocho Rios, and is right at the bauxite center of Jamaica, because they're taking the bauxite. They have a beautiful road where they can take their trucks, go straight to the port of Jamaica and ship to China, take the bauxite, form aluminum, do all types of processing, and then sell it back to the rest of the world. And that's what they're doing, because China understands. And a lot of us get upset and they say, oh, China's doing this. No, China's doing what China needs to do. China's doing the right thing for China. You have a continent that has most of the minerals in the world. If you're involved in business, it's a supply chain issue, because what the Chinese want to do is, if you default, they now own the port and they now own the roads. And guess what the Chinese will do? They will build their factories in Africa, because it is more advantageous for them economically to actually build factories where the raw materials are. It saves you from shipping costs. This is just very simple business. And it seems like everyone else is doing business except for us. That's why you hop on a plane to Africa, you see all types of people on the plane. And the only people you see on the plane that are Black are the people who are just going back home for the holidays, But you'll see Europeans on there, you see Asians on there, because they're doing business, because they understand supply chain economics. And so that's why I'm saying that I'm trying to encourage all of us to do some type of business in Africa, because of, not only because Africa is in our heart, but logistically, if you are even greedy, you want to do business in Africa, because the cost of materials is almost negligible when it comes to shipping and transport if you are having your factory where the materials are. So it's very simple. So one, the business must be operating in Africa. You don't have to be a citizen of any African country. You just need to be a brother or a sister who has a business operating in Africa. The business must be past the idea stage and already operating with customers and clients. So we're not looking at your business plan. What we're looking at is, we're looking at your business that exists. We're looking at your customer roles. And what I do is, I will secretly go and I will become a customer of that business. And I want to see how they, if it's a restaurant, I want to see how your food tastes. I want to see how you deliver food. I want to see, what your infrastructure is like and what your business processes are like. Am I a satisfied customer? Because if I'm a satisfied customer, that means you're going to have hundreds of other satisfied customers. And then you're ripe for investment or a loan. So we need you to be already operating with customers and clients. The business must have a sustainable growth potential. We will determine that. And also, the business must be in accord with the mission statement of the 25th Dynasty Group. So we're not going to be investing in businesses that we don't like, theoretically. So we're not going to invest in businesses that we think pollute the environment, or businesses that are against our Pan-Africanist ideals. So we've already loaned money to 3 businesses. They've successfully received stage 1 loans, and they cover the countries of Rwanda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And here are the people who received the loans. I like to put the people on here because I want you to know that this is real. You know, that's why I put the pictures of our project in Ghana. I want you to know that this is real. So in Rwanda, a stage 1 loan was given to George Kwizera. He's the owner of Kwizera Car Rentals. And the way I know him is that I rented his car. And we got to know each other, and he's in the car rental business, and he needed some money to be able to do some advertising for his rental business. And so he received the money, and he's been able to grow his business. Without that money, he would have been stuck. He wouldn't have been able to grow his business. So we played a great role in the development of his business. This brother here is from Kenya in Nairobi, Naftali, and he's the owner of Nyabantu Farms. And he needed some money for building greenhouses, to build some small greenhouses for his produce. And, you know, as he goes to stage 3, we'll be able to help him to develop an export market. So this is the 3rd recipient in Tanzania, Joshua Ayinka, and he's the owner of Timir Refu Restaurant. And we were able to give him a loan to also do some marketing and buy some more equipment for his kitchen. And we liked all of those businesses. We liked how they operate. We like how the final product is of the business. And we like how the owner conducts business, so they qualify for the loans, and that's where we're going. So our goal is to fund at least 100 African-based businesses in the next 5 years. That's our goal. So that we have a portfolio, and the investors, the investment groups gets 10% every year. And like I said, the 10% is a key number because that's greater than what you get in your mutual funds and what most people get in their 401ks. So now we have something that will get you more money than your 401ks in terms of return on investment, and then your mutual funds, retirement funds, and all of that. And you'll be able to help Africa grow simultaneously. So we're able to solve a lot of problems at one time. And then also you develop relationships with people on the continent, real lifelong relationships. These 3 brothers right here who receive loans, I have a lifelong relationship with them and their families, lifelong. And anytime I'm in any of these countries, they are there for me, and they help me in what I'm doing in terms of developing my factories just from their contacts that they have from being born and raised in these countries. So it works for me and it works for them. And it's a beautiful symphony of progress that we've been able to do very quietly, and we're growing. And so I would invite all of the people who are on this to ask more questions, to contact me, see how they could be involved. And like I said, we're going to be building our first model home in 2022 with solar and batteries and rainwater catchment cistern. We're going to be doing mortgage loans, and we're going to be doing more of these business loans to different people in different countries on the continent. And as you can see, this is all happening in real time. It's real, it's verifiable, and we are moving forward, whether it's one person or a million people. We are moving forward. This is what we do. We don't have anything better to do. There's nothing better to do. There's nothing more interesting to do. There's nothing more exciting to do for me. So, you know, if you're interested in something that is happening on a real level, just contact me. And if you can't reach me, just reach Baba Senghor. Baba Senghor and I, we got each other on speed dial. We talk all the time. So I'm easily found, easily reachable. And, you know, anybody want to come to Africa and start seeing what the business opportunities are, just contact me. And, you know, because I'm arranging trips as well. We have, what I didn't mention, Baba Senghor, is I also have a company that I started called Utopia Tours, because people ask me all of the time about doing tours in Africa because of the time I spend in Africa and being able to show people how to do business, how to buy homes, how to do any type of like renting a home, even Airbnb business. So we have that available, and we're going to start in 22 with the tours. And I'm just going to go to the website so people can look at it. Okay. You all are able to see Utopia tours?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the countries that we are focused on right now. We're focused on Rwanda, Dominica, Dar es Salaam, Seychelles, Sri Lanka, and Ghana. Now, Sri Lanka, we're focused on Sri Lanka for a reason, is that we have to, as a people, you see how people from Asia are to Africa? Sri Lanka is actually a very strategic place because it's an island, but it's also very close to the Indian subcontinent. And they have some serious ports there. And it's important for us to be worldwide and see what's going on in different places. And this is a good penetration point, Sri Lanka. There's a lot of very dark skinned people in Sri Lanka. You will see those people. And a lot of them look like Black folks. And I believe that we need to have some penetration in Asia. So I am also adding Sri Lanka to the trips. And then from Sri Lanka, you can go into India, and you can go into China, you can go into all these different places, but it's very beautiful. Seychelles Island is basically like the Caribbean in Africa. You places like Seychelles and Mauritius, and so that's very interesting for people to see. But Ghana is for West Africa, and East Africa, we're going Rwanda, Dar es Salaam. We'll spread out to South Africa, Southern Africa as well, places like Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and what have you. But these are the main countries that we're focused on. And these are the countries that I have personal experience in from being present and doing businesses. I have businesses in 4 of the 6 countries listed here. So this is what we're doing, and just stay in contact. So Utopia Tours, and also 25th Dynasty Group. And what will be very interesting about the tours is that we are not, this is not a sightseeing tour. These tours are business development tours. So, you know, what we'll be focused on is not only cultural experiences, not only yoga and meditation, but these are some of the activities. So let's just go through it. You'll be provided the accommodations at a resort, free pickup to and from the airport, free breakfast, yoga, meditation, city tour, culture experiences, free dinners, nature and water activities, business and investment workshops. That's where I get excited. All this other stuff doesn't really excite me anymore. This was what excites me. Now, I've just reached a certain age that these things don't excite me as much. Business investment workshops excite me. Employment opportunities, where particularly if you're into the computer field, there are a lot of IT jobs available in Africa that a lot of people don't know about. And I have employment recruiters on deck in these countries who are looking for people with skills from the diaspora. I mean, they are actually looking, and they'll tell you, we want Black folks. That's what they'll say. We want Black folks from the Caribbean, from America, to come to our countries and help build. I mean, those who've been to Africa, if you talk to people in the governments, they want Black folks to come and help build with any experiences that we have in the Western Hemisphere. There's education, and we do tours of the education and technological scene, real estate, immigration, because people want to know about citizenship. And then those people who like the nightlife and partying and vibes, we'll have all of that. So that's what this opportunity represents. So people can go on there and see, we had a trip lined up for May and June of 2020. And that's when, you know, everything got shut down in terms of the airports because of COVID-19. So we will be reinstating all of this starting next year. So those of us who want to actually go to Africa and start making real connections and moving your life and uprooting your life and living in Africa and being comfortable and doing business, this is one of the best things that you can do. If you don't, you know, come with Utopia Tours, there's other brothers and sisters who do these types of tours, like Brother Bomani, he does some tours. Sister Yajasi Park, she's doing a tour. Yes. So, you know, you ain't got to come with me, just get plugged in. You know, you don't have to plug in with me, but just plug in. That's the whole thing. Just plug in. That's all. Africa's there. It's beautiful. This is Rwanda, by the way. this is what Rwanda looks like. It's the cleanest country I've ever been to. The cleanest place I've been to before Rwanda was Toronto, Canada. And then when I went to Rwanda, Kigali was cleaner than that. And it's a beautiful place to go. Very safe. This is what it looks like downtown. They have solar farms there, so they're developing, and then it's very green. This is what a coffee field looks like in Rwanda. You know, this is what the business center looks like in Rwanda. They have islands in Lake Kivu in Rwanda. And of course you can get involved in, like, you know, looking at wildlife. Because you're in Africa, you might want to go on a safari and do your, you know, the safari thing that a lot of people are interested in. So all of that is available. And the point is just make yourself comfortable with living in Africa and doing business in Africa. I mean, I do it, and the last thing I'll end with is that there's so much opportunity for everybody, because when I'm in Africa, I get so many opportunities that just fall into my lap. It's incredible. So many business opportunities. It's incredible for people to, you know, I was able to take over a 40-acre fish farm because the woman who owned it, she's old and she doesn't want to operate it anymore in Rwanda. And so she hooked up with me and basically offered me to run the farm and just pay her royalties every year. So I don't even have any upfront costs because the infrastructure is already there. And these types of things happen all the time. It's a rice farm as well. So we're gonna be doing rice and we're gonna be doing fish. So it's, these type of things happen and they fall into your lap when you're in Africa and you identify yourself as a Pan-Africanist, because one thing that people from Kenya or Africa or any parts of Africa or Rwanda or Ghana love is when you express that you love them and you try to speak the language. They're so shocked because they think you're coming from America that why would you want to be in our country? Because the idea is thinking that the idea is everyone wants to leave and come to America or come to Europe. And then those of us who were maybe born in America is running to Africa and they're trying to understand why you're going the opposite way. And then when they find out the real reason that you came because you love your people and you want to reconnect with your people, it's moving to Africans. And they just lay out the red carpet in the continent. And I can see this, and I know this because I'm born in Africa. I speak an African language. My whole family's from Ghana and all of that. So growing up in Chicago, I was able to actually have two types of ears, the ear of a continental African and the ear of a Black person in America. Because nobody know I'm from Ghana when they see me. I'm just a regular brother just walking the street in Chicago or New York or Boston and all of that. So I've been able to get great insight in terms of a Pan-African worldview and what our people are really excited about. And I'm telling you, if you go to Africa and you say that you want to help build a country and do business, you are going to be welcomed with open arms, and the opportunities are going to be opportunities that you never even dreamt of, opportunities that you don't even have the opportunities in America. So I'll end my presentation with that. I hope that it was helpful. And I hope that it was useful for people and it was very clear what's going on and people know how to get plugged in with the 25th Dynasty Group. The website is the 25th Dynasty Group. It is 25th Dynasty Group, 25th dynastygroup.com. And Utopia Tours is utopiatours.com. All right?
Yeah, Brother Heru, excellent presentation, very clear. I'm going to open up and ask people to raise their hand on the Zoom that want to ask a question, but I want you hit a lot, and it's a lot. You know, we talk all the time, but you know, you laid out so much, but it's one thing I want you to elaborate on before people start asking other questions. You mentioned factories. Speak to that, because you mentioned that you are moving to build factories. Explain that, and then we will open up the floor. Anybody raise your hand, and we'll address questions. We got about 10-15 minutes in reasoning on questions and answers, and then we're going to start wrapping down and closing out. I want to thank you, though, Brother Heru, for not only being with us, and not only for what you do, but how you present yourself. That is important. And I know others kind of understand what I'm saying, and I appreciate that. because sometimes people get into business and the way they present themselves is not as clear and concise and focused of how other people can get involved. But at any rate, speak to those factories and anybody else that, and y'all open up your cameras too, so I can see y'all, and then put your hands up. Don't put on your sound until after you called on, because we really want to do this reasoning. So please open up your cameras, y'all. You're here in the Zoom. That's the purpose of video and audio. We're not on a telephone. So open up your cameras. And I knew you was gonna open up, PG. I want to make sure everybody opens up. They can open up, because that's how we want to see each other. We want to see you. Brother Heru, answer that for me. Why did you mention factories?
Okay, because there is no African liberation without African factories.
Mm-hmm.
Period. There's none. If you don't make what you need and don't know how to make what you need on a mass level, you will always be a slave to other people. You know, China recognized that. And so after China, suffered, people should study the Opium Wars. It really wasn't about opium, it was about tea. It was about the British addiction to tea. And the British ended up pumping opium because the Chinese were only trading tea for gold. So the British population got addicted to tea, and the exchange was tea for gold. And the British started running out of gold reserves and went to the Chinese and said, listen, we want your tea, but we want to trade something else that we have instead of gold. And the Chinese took a recess from that meeting for about 5 minutes and came back to the British and said, we've thought about what you said very carefully, and there's nothing that you have that we want. So you got to give us gold. And that's very powerful to say that there's nothing that you have that we want. That says a lot culturally. But what happened was that the British got very upset with that, and they were running out of gold reserves, but they had no choice to keep getting tea, because the British population was so used to having tea that there would have been riots without tea. And there's been riots over tea before by British descendants called the Boston Tea Party. And they were very well aware of the British population's addiction to tea in terms of a lifestyle issue. And so instead of trading gold for the tea, the British did two things. Number one, they said we can't rely on the Chinese anymore, and they basically took over India. And they took over a little island in India and started growing tea on their own, and that became the most popular tea in the world, called Ceylon tea. That island was named Ceylon. Now it has a new name, and it's called Sri Lanka. So the British literally took over India so that they could solve their tea problem. They could grow their own tea and wouldn't have to rely on the Chinese. And then what they did with the Chinese was they started pumping opium into China in exchange for tea. And opium was illegal and punishable by death. And the Chinese seized an opium boat from the British. And the British, even though they were doing something illegal with pushing drugs into China, they saw the seizure of the boat as an act of war. And that started the Opium Wars. And that ended up with the British getting Hong Kong for a period of 99 years until Hong Kong was handed over in around 2000 back to China. So the Chinese after that said, we will never be, and really they lost because the British had a better navy. They were able to blockade the ports. They had better navy, and the Chinese were not manufacturing their own boats that would be modern and up to date. And the Chinese said never again. And they focused on becoming the manufacturing center of the world, and they've done it, and they did it. And so anytime you're trying to manufacture anything, most of the time you're going to China. And they learned this. And the Japanese did the same after they were bombed in World War II. They decided that they were going to take over the electronics industry and started engaging in what you call reverse engineering. Now, because of our raw material situation that we've been gifted with by the Creator in the continent of Africa, the most logical people to be doing high-level manufacturing would be Africans. We are the most logical people to be doing the most high-level manufacturing because there are no transportation times or fees from the raw minerals to our factories. They're in the same place, which means that Africans would, once we take over manufacturing, we would actually be able to control the world economy on a very serious level. So what I want to do from looking at this is that I have my own company, Herbal Results. As some people know, I manufacture health products. They get rid of high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, all these types of things. You can go to the website, herbalresults.net. We have testimonials, and we're on Amazon.com. And, you know, we sell very robustly worldwide. Sangor is a distributor in the DC area. So we've been doing it, and I have a factory that I contract in the United States. And so to be able to distribute in Ghana and all of West Africa and East Africa, it is actually cheaper for me and cheaper for my customers on the continent to have a factory in Africa. Because if I'm making it in America, then I have to ship it all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. It becomes very expensive when it lands at the dock, and then you have these import fees, and it becomes expensive for the end user. So to get the price even cut in half, I could get it cut in half if I am doing my own manufacturing. And I'm just saying that at a certain point, I believe that probably by the next generation, your Pan-Africanist bona fides will be based on how many factories you own as a Black man, as a Black woman, because that solves a lot of our problems. And that's something that we haven't tried yet. We've tried a lot of things, you know. We've done a lot of prayer, a lot of chanting, a lot of beating drums, a lot of dances. We've done a lot of songs, a lot of poetry. I'm one of them. We've done a lot of protests. We've done a lot of debates. We've done a lot of writing of books. One thing that we haven't done en masse on a serious level is manufacturing as a people and owning factories for every single thing that we, I mean, John Henry Clark talked about it. He talked about, you know, the people who aren't manufacturing their own toilet paper, what can you say about them? That type of talk hurts.
So
that type of talk hurts. So to answer your question, I just wanted to lay a little context is that yes, I'm building factories and I've priced factory equipment, and I can build a factory in terms of factory equipment in Ghana for around $50,000, which is the cost of a new Lexus. So here we are buying cars, and we could be buying factories.
Yeah.
As a people. And I'm not going to just talk about it, I'm going to show it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do, I want to show because, you know, I never want to be one of those people that say, oh, Haroon's just talking. I've talked a lot. I mean, as you know, I got paid a lot of money to talk as a poet. I traveled the world as a poet for a decade. I got paid to talk, but I got tired of talking. And before my life is over, I need to have certain legacies that people can touch and feel, like the pyramids, to prove that I was here. And to pass down to future generations. And what does that better than to have a factory? How serious are you taken as a Black man when you can say you own factories in Africa? It's a whole different type of conversation. And I just think that we can do it. We have the intelligence, we have the capacity. We can do it. There are engineering solutions for all of our problems. And I've priced everything out. And so, yeah, Senghor, I'm building factories, and the average cost for the equipment for me to build factories to pump out millions of bottles is $50,000 each factory.
Yeah, I posed that question because I kind of knew how you was going to address it, but I want everybody to hear that, because today what we're doing with this pre-Kwanzaa is clear of a vision for 2022, and it's time to, you know, not talk about it, but walk the talk, or walk the walk, as you were saying. Now, I know we got only a few more minutes before we start wrapping down, but I want to open it up for people to have specific questions. Now you ain't got to get all your questions in now, because you can reach out. You can go to the websites, you can do all of that. But for sure, I'm going to leave the UNIA message for the PG. But at the same token, while we are reasoning with Haru, if anybody else got a question, nobody got their hands up, so nobody got a question. I think everybody, so that means everybody understood everything that was happening. Baba Mosa, you got no questions?
Listen, I'm satisfied with what Brother Heru has expounded, because that's what I have to call it. I mean, you know, that's a message for us to economically build a foundation for African people to develop. African people will not be respected unless they have that economic base, that economic power that will show to other people we can compete with them.
Okay.
Everybody else goes, or any African anywhere is disrespected because they are not seeing, and I'm saying, when I say they, I mean non-African people who may be having manufacturing and other things and have economic progress going on.
Okay, I
They're
got
seeing it's not happening with Africans.
Baba,
they are saying nothing good about us.
All right, Baba Mosi.
So that's where we have to go.
No,
I thank
hear
you.
I hear you. No, I hear you, Baba Mosi. I know you're all in, and that's a good thing. But I got some sisters that got their hands up. I want to hear from them, because soon we're going to be wrapping up. We don't want to go too far past 2.5 hours, so we want to close out. But I see Mama Yao and Mama Margaret. Margaret Davis, you go ahead and ask your question. Mama Margaret. Margaret. Mama Margaret, I see your hand up. You got a question? Mama Yao, I saw you put your hand up, then you put it back down. You got a question? Yo, my sister.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I had to figure out how to do this.
Okay.
This is Margaret. Yeah, I have a question. How come UNIA as a group could not invest in something like that?
Oh, we can, and we will.
But when?
I'm gonna leave the PG. PG is gonna speak on the end of Mama Margaret. So I don't.
Okay, because I told you the dues are too low.
Mama Margaret, I don't want to get into his. I know he's going to talk about it. 2022, the vision of 2022, the rehabilitation committee is to ameliorate how things have been being done to go forward. I feel you, Mama Margaret, and I know exactly where you're coming from. I know Brother Heru, myself, all of us. You know, we long distance runners, and we're tired of the same old foolishness that hasn't got us to point that we need to get to. So I hear you, Mama Margaret. I think the PG heard you. I know Haru heard you. And Mama Margaret, you in Division 330, keep on pressing and reasoning with us. But it's a whole different ball game that we're talking about. When we start talking about Africa, it doesn't just involve how the UNIA had functioned. It involves finishing the works of the right honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So, and I know you heard that, and the whole purpose of tonight is so that we can set the stage in this direction. Not the only thing that we're doing, but it's very key because it encompasses more of what we should be doing as African people. And I had to go there, Mama Yao. So I hope that helped you, Mama Margaret. But don't stop pressing, because we know women, we know queens rule. And when the queens say it got to happen sooner or later, whether we do it or y'all manifest it and get it done. So, and I know I'm speaking, you know, a little more than what I wanted to on the subject, but I'm gonna leave that to the PG when his closing.
Okay.
Anybody else got anybody else got any specific questions for Haru? That does not mean that members of the UNIA who here, they're not parent body, that you can't have questions for us too, but it will take a long time, and we want to make sure Haru gets to address any question people have. So I don't see no hands. Mama Mary, you got no hand up? Nobody got a hand up? So what I'm going to do at this time, Haru, is to say to you, thank you so much for coming again to us as the UNIA Parent Body Rehabilitating Committee, but the Black Star Action Network International, the 6th Region Diaspora Caucus, and I don't think you got a chance to see that 15-minute clip of the summary of the library that the 6th Region Diaspora Caucus, SRDC, has land in Liberia that we're building a Pan-African library. I think I've talked to you about it. But anyway, because we had some problems with Facebook, it's not there, but we recorded this, so you will get a chance to catch up on that. Now, back to Haru. If you got any questions for us though, Haru, I really want to make sure that everybody is clear that's listening on Facebook, is that this is not just a UNIA project. This is a project for all African people, which basically should be UNIA, so that they can start putting more in practical application Kuju Chakalia, Ujima, Kuumba in everyday life. And then that's not to say that some people aren't, but we ain't doing it good enough to recapture the sovereignty in our land in Africa, obviously, but we can do better. So with that said, Brother Haru, I really appreciate you taking the time out and giving that to us, but word is bond with me, and I'm sure the PG too, but all of us, because what we're striving to do as early as January is map out a strategy for us going forward of 2022 as individuals, but more so as the collective of those people that are putting together living examples for generations that follow us. So it's very important that we set the example, just like what you have done, and to put our hat in it, our hand in it, our leg in it, and get busy. And so if I got anything to do with it, it's going to manifest that way. Not just for Senghor and not just for the Baye family, but for all the people that I've been working with for over 45 years and making sure that we continue the legacy of the right Exonata Marcus Mosai Garvey. So Haru, thank you. I want to move to the PG and let him close us out. But I will say to you that, hey, I'll talk to you probably in a couple of days, you know, as I always do. So, but if you got any last words that you want to leave with us, Haru, and then I'm going to bring on the President General so that we can be true to the 9:30 time.
Yeah, just very quickly, people asked me to post the websites that I referenced in the chat for everybody, and it's there right now. So you can just go to the websites, and I can be reached through any of those websites' contact pages.
Excellent. And again, man, Asante Sana, James Wilson Sr., James Wilson is with us at UNIA. I don't think James Wilson Jr. is still with us now, but we want to thank him. And we want to thank SRDC for the work that they're doing. And if anybody wants to find out how they can be supportive of that, get with the UNIA-ACL. Yeah, James, I see you, but you got a question, James? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna move right now. I want to bring on the President General of the UNIA, and this has been a really great evening. I really learned a lot, Haru, even though I talk to you all the time. I learned a tremendous amount. I was trying to take notes, but you got the websites to go to, y'all. So y'all get them out of this. Understand that you're gonna be hearing more about it. But without any further ado, I want to bring my brother to you, who I've been working with for over almost 50 years, the current President General of the UNIA-ACL RC2020, Brother Akili Malik Nkrumah. Baba Akili, it's you.
Hotep and Asante Sana to Brother Haru, as well as to the 330 who put on this marvelous program.
Correction.
Yes, sir.
We did this, brother. This is for everybody.
Everybody. Okay. We just on 330 website.
Yeah, that's
okay. And but I give praises and appreciation to that. Much of what Brother Haru has projected tonight are things we've heard, but I think what folks need to understand is that as we are putting together a 5-year plan for economics, the things that Brother Haru has said is a part of that plan. It's not about the dues, what their cost is. It's about generating the type of investment money and investment capital that is currently necessary in order to be engaged in the process that Brother Haru laid out. But that's going to take a moment for Black people across the world to realize that if they take $2-3 and then they get 10 other people with $2-3, and then we get 10 other people with $2, $3, we can eventually manifest $50,000. And I'm saying $2 or $3 in the lower realm, but we can do that with $20, $30. It's not difficult to raise that kind of money. It's just raising that kind of money, putting it in the right place, and then having the money do what Brother Heru said it will do. But it also means investing in the future of Africa and investing in the future of African people, because that's what the UNIA-ACL RC2020 is built for. That's what Marcus Messiah Garvey was working to do. He was building the ability to be an investment into the future of people of African descent all over the world. He didn't just want to have a movement. He wanted to build a government on the continent of Africa, something that had not existed and does not exist to this point, one unified African government. So as we began to struggle with the problems of economics on the continent of Africa, recognizing that the European is still going to do what the European does, we have to be vigilant, straightforward, have the right resources, the proper people in place in order to help us. You heard tonight that we have that. Brother Heru Ofora Atta is the right person in the right place with positive ideas and positive motivation and the ability to make it happen. And one of the things he said tonight is, I'm going to put forth my own money. So what I say to you, as we move forward and we've put out the program to say we want to raise $5,000, $10,000, and we're not going to ask you to do that with your dues. We're going to ask you to do that with donation. We're going to ask you to recruit people throughout your community to make that happen. Because when you recruit people outside, you get a better investment and a more concrete investment of people of African descent. All over the world today, African people say they want independence. All over the world. On the continent of Africa, they say they want independence. But again, it takes African people to give African solutions to African problems and not have solutions to African problems that's based on a European concept. We have to base it on who we are and what we know and what we are capable of doing, and therefore address our people in the right position, in the proper concept, in the proper realm. So building houses, dealing with water issues is one. Dealing with food is another. Dealing with health is another. It's going to require us to have a plan that is very much conceived and concise in all the realms and all the areas where we have to develop an economic response to a political problem. An economic response to a political problem. Because economics is lockstep political. We're not in this condition because we did not have economics. We're in this condition because politically we did not control our own destiny. We did not establish our own government. We did not move in the proper direction in order to do that. We got afraid when Marcus Garvey was pushing that concept, and we sided with those who oppressed us, the colonizers. We sided with them. And now it is time for us to stand lockstep together. The presentation tonight was, of course, excellent. Having heard it before only make it even more real. Happen to also be a person who distributes Heru's products here on the East Coast. Because you see, it is important that we deal with health and welfare. We got to deal with that. So it's not just economics in one realm, it's economics in all realms. And not only economics, but political forthright. Because without a government to marshal these forces, you become individual investors. And individual investors have an interest that is individual, not collective. Not all. Some investors, as we've heard from Heru, are investing in order to say, I can show you that we can do it. And what I want you now to do is to understand, if you walk with me, we can get this done. I appreciate Brother Heru, but I need all of you to understand, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you and the commitments you make to the government of the UNIA-ACL. But look forward to the 5-year plan that's economically developed to come. It will include many of the entities that Brother Heru talked about tonight. But be prepared to put forward $100. Pay your dues, put $100. Pay your dues, put $100. Because see, that's 10 people, $100 make 1,000. We need $50,000. You know the number of people that we need. Let's go to it. We can get this done. And we have we're going to put forth the 5-year plan in order to do it. But at the same time, We will not stop moving forward on the political realm. We will not stop moving forward on recruiting realms. We will not stop moving forward on developing and improving the conditions of African people worldwide and on the ground in Africa. The job is large, but not too large. The method and the necessity is essential, but at the same time, we Garveyites, we members of the UNIA-ACL RC2020 have to include our race, whether they are part of us or not. We have to get them to the point to where they're willing to invest in what we do. See, people of African descent have a mentality that believes if it ain't the white people, it ain't right. So it becomes educational to say don't have to be white to be right. It has to be black to be correct. You notice I changed that, black to be correct. And when we come into the point to where our investments, because all of us do it, where our investments meet our needs, and we are generating houses on the continent of Africa, we're generating income, then we will also be able to generate economic power. We think economic power, and then have a political voice that speaks to African governments and speaks to the European governments. Understand something, RC 2020 is not just going to speak to people of African descent. We're going to call the European to task, because that's what our people need across the board. Across the board, African people have been exploited, enslaved, tricked and confused, and lied to. You know, what's amazing is that before the Christian era, the era of African people ruling the world existed. There's very little history on that to give you stimulation to move forward. But yet I say to you, here we stand in 2021, 2 years young and 2 years old, and we're going to move our race forward in order to accomplish what the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey was about. I know, Zingo, I'm going to stop because of your time, but I still want to make sure I make this point. Recruit, invest, commit, and work. Recruit members, invest the dollars, and work for the race, and work with RC 2020, and we will be committed to moving forward. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, PG, I wasn't, you know.
I know, I know, but
I had to make a restroom stop, but you know, and I just got back. I was on the Facebook checking you out, but listening. But what I want to do, because we're going to wrap, we got another 10 minutes, and what I want to do in this 10 minutes is to just let people know when we speak UNIA RC 2020, 2 years, that we're building on, and I want people to be clear, we're building on a legacy that Garvey started all the way up from President General up. But when we say 2 years, we're talking about the rehabilitating of the movement going in the proper direction that our ancestors planned for it to go in. Now, I want to make it clear, and I want to come back to you, PG, because you know, I want people to know when we say UNIA RC 2020, we're talking about over 50 years as individuals tied to each other, which is a lot of time of learning about our shortcomings, our successes, and our vision is even bigger because of the ancestors that have gone before us are continually to work with Garvey and the whirlwind. We don't have a choice. Like Brother Haru said, we don't have an option. We have to go in the direction that we're speaking about tonight. And even though we're talking about Kwanzaa, we're talking about Kemet. Like Tony Browder and Atlantis and a couple other people that I know are in Africa right now, getting ready for the solstice. They're connected. We're talking about 6 Region Diaspora Caucus that's not only building a library in Africa, but the 6 Region Diaspora Caucus is doing a lot of work, and they're not just in the United States. I want y'all to be clear. They are a global movement. The Black Star Action Network International, which is joined to the hip with the UNIA. I'm going to come back to the PG with that because we want to make sure all of our younger brothers and sisters who are coming into the government of the UNIA or already in it get the plan so that the plan continues to move. So we're not just gonna move into the ancestral realm and be like our other ancestors.
To your point, historically, we both are connected to president generals who were connected to the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, because you're speaking about lineage, and you want folks to understand that. And I say to both of us, we have that connection, so that we've heard the words that were delivered by Marcus Garvey, that were delivered by his students. So when folks want to talk about RC2020, I mentioned 2 years because in 2020, we determined that the UNIA-ACL was moving in an incorrect direction and not focused on the building and development for African people. That was our decision. And we made that decision based on the things that had taken place throughout the world with every aspect of the UNIA that existed. We did what our ancestors said had to be done when things were falling apart. That's what we did. Now, because the program was centered on economics, and Single, you've now connected that historical piece, let me elaborate a minute. So when you look about the world, every movement at a point in time has its highs and its lows. And when it's at its lows, if it stays true to what gave it its highs, it will be okay. But what happens when the movement hit its lows, self-centered, self-absorbed individuals decide to change that course under the guise of being UNIA or any other movement. There have always been men and women who said, no, that's not right. We will change it. The Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey did the exact same thing after being released from prison in 1926 and spending 3 years and observing what was taking place before he reorganized the UNIA. We spent a few years observing before we reorganized the UNIA in a rehabilitating committee, which is why when Heru Oforo-Atta speaks about having $50,000 to do this, we don't shriek and say, oh God, we can't do that because we can't control it. No, we say, let's look at that plan, look to our members and say, this is what we want to do. But we have to first put forth an economic plan that incorporates the type of investments and the type of overseeing that's necessary economically that Brother Heru Oforo-Atta also spoke about. He didn't just speak about putting up $50,000 of his own money without any oversight. So we have to build those internal features in order to make it happen. See, historically, we are right on time. But for my members, for the people, for the community, for whoever hears this, understand something. The world is now at a crossroad. You either gonna stand on the side and stand with right, or you're gonna continue to stand with the Yoruba and stand on the side of wrong and oppression. We have chosen to have and rebuild the movement of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey through his own entity, the UNIA-ACL, now Rehabilitating Committee 2020, to say to the world, Marcus Messiah Garvey was on the right path. Our job is to continue that path and elevate it to the realm that it needs to be. And that's our job. And when we elevate it, we will speak to African governments as a government, even without land. We will speak to African governments. We will speak to presidents. We will speak to ambassadors. We will therefore join and involve and engage our people, race across the world, wherever they are. Be it on the continent of Africa, be it in Australia, be it in England, because we have connections in England. Wherever people of African descent are is where we will be. Our hand will reach out. So when I speak to you about a 5-year plan, I'm incorporating that type of economics, but I'm also saying to you, look for the political development, look for the movement pieces. Yes, this is Kwanzaa, a pre-Kwanzaa, and yes, we have not so much touched on all the values and the principles. So let me give you one principle of emoji, unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. So if we're going to do that, we do that on the foundation and fundamentally direct, dealing with the principles of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey under the UNIA-ACL RC2020, because our commitment is to the race. Because we, today, what Garvey did not see was a continent of Africa with 55 nations. What we must show at the end of our time is one unified African nation, 54 states, and in one nation with one government for us as a people. That's the goal.
Ashe. So brothers, as we get ready to wrap up, we're gonna take out the Facebook stream, but y'all don't have to run. But I mean, we are going to wrap up. But I want Haru to open this, not Haru Forai Atta, but brother Harold Goodrich to open up his camera if he would. Can you, Harold? Can you open up? I really want to hear some words from you as an engineer. Brother Harold.
Yes, I have my, I just had the articles coming from the desktop.
Okay, but that's okay. You don't have to open it up, but I want you to give me some reasoning on what you heard tonight coming from our brother Haru. You are Haru too, but you're an engineer and you kind of know a lot about some of the things. And as you finish your message, shut down the Facebook stream, and then we'll talk a little bit and then we'll go out. But I want from Haru to Haru. Talk to us, Harold. Talk to us, Harold. What did you hear tonight?
One of the things, Baba Mosley. Okay.
No. Go ahead, Haru. Yeah, I got you, Baba Mosley. Go ahead, Haru.
One of the things you have to realize as we go forth in this new century, access to resources is critical. 2 weeks ago, I attended a program called Our Future in Space. What was interesting, it was a total lack of any people of color talking about their vision for space. And one of the things that they talked about is about how they were, quote unquote, will start to transfer a lot of the manufacturing off planet. And also what I call is the neo-colonialization of Earth itself, where they want to remove most of the people off planet and put them in these habitable zones around the geosynchronous orbit of Earth. But one of the things we have to realize, this is a unique situation that we have where on the African continent, we have the technology, we have the intellectual capacity, and what's not being talked about is how people of African descent was really responsible for a lot of the technology that has been developed for the past 200 to 300 years. And when you think about Marcus Garvey, Science for Excellence, talk about Chip Diop, the Federated State, talk about Amos Wilson, about the Black Power economics, Kwame Nkrumah about information warfare, it's critical that we start to use our own intellectual capacity tied to our culture and spiritual systems to take us off of this short period of a pause in terms of infrastructure, civilization, development. Because if you look at our history, we were advanced where the Europeans were still at the infant stages of quote unquote intellectual development. When you think about the French Revolution, the European Renaissance, none of that happened until Napoleon took his scientists into the archives in Africa and took a lot of the documents out, and they started to quote unquote, what I call plagiarize the intellectual capacity of our people. And what Haru otherwise talking about tonight, we really have to think about how do you provide the basic tenets of life, physical security, psychological security, economic security, and cultural security. And it all comes back in terms of making sure that each African has the necessary to a higher standard of living, because we're part of Mother Nature and all the mineral resources of the planet.
Okay.
And it comes through the spiritual dynamics of being the active part in doing for self.
Yeah. Okay, I really appreciate that. I wanted to hear from you because, you know, you're not only our engineer, you're an active member of the UNIA. Baba Mosi?
Yes, I wanted to mention what's coming up next for the Division 330 and RC2020 during the Kwanzaa period before he shuts down.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so what's coming up next for us is the Celebration of Purpose 2021. NIA, a virtual extravaganza. That's on Thursday, December 30th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be streamed on a Facebook page, UNIA this very same Facebook page. And hopefully we'll get everyone here. It's a Kwanzaa celebration with libations, candle lighting ceremony, drumming, and you know, a discussion on what NIA is all about, purpose. That will be led by the very person who's right now chairing this well, I'm about to say forum. Baba Senghor.
Yeah,
he'll and then we'll have Evergreen Productions with a rendition of something dealing with Kwanzaa. Marcus Garvey Community Service Awards. Those people who are awarded the Marcus Garvey Community Service Award for this year, 2021. So that's coming up on Thursday. And hope to see you all there. And please spread the word because it's going to be posted on Facebook. You'll get emails, and please share what you get so that everyone will have a part in our 2021 celebration of Kwanzaa NIA.
Okay, Brother Heru, you can take out the stream whenever you're ready. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't go. We're just a little past 9:30 on Facebook, but I'm gonna also say to everybody that we're gonna be in. Yeah, thank you. We're gonna be in St. Croix in March for our High Executive Council. There's a lot gonna be happening with that High Executive